Good day everyone, this is Engineer Augusto A. Abanasenya. In the previous video, I discussed what a milling machine is, its parts and function, and the different types of milling machine. In this video, we will be focusing on different cutting tools used in milling operations and some accessories or attachment necessary for some milling machine operation. We have here milling cutters. Milling cutters are usually made of high-speed steel, carbide tip, and nowadays insert cutting tools and are available in great variety of shapes and sizes for various purposes. We have here roughing end mill, slab mill cutter, end mill cutter, ball mill cutter, hollow mill, Woodruff, thread mill, fly cutter, face mill cutter, involute gear cutter, hubbing cutter, dovetail cutter, slide and face cutter. We will discuss each, but before that, we will be discussing first the milling cutters nomenclature. So these parts and angles in some form are common to all cutter types. We have here the pitch. The pitch refers to the angular distance between like or adjacent teeth. The pitch is determined. Tooth face is the forward form of the cutting edge by the number of teeth facing the surface of the tooth. We have also here the cutting edge. The cutting edge is the angle on each tooth that performs the cutting. We have also the land. The land is the narrow surface behind the cutting edge on each tooth. We have also the rake angle, which is the angle formed between the face of the tooth and the center line of the cutter. The rake angle defines the cutting edge and provides a path for chips that are cut from the workpiece. The primary clearance, the primary clearance is the angle of the land of each tooth measured from the line tangent to the center line of the cutter at the cutting edge. This angle prevents each tooth from rubbing against the workpiece after it makes it cut. This angle defines the land of each tooth and provides additional clearance for passage of cutting oil and chips. We have also the hole diameter. It determines the size of the arbor necessary to mount the milling cutter. Okay, we have also the outside diameter. This is the diameter, the largest diameter of the cutting tool. Okay. Helical milling cutters. So the helical milling cutters is similar to the plane. This is the plane milling cutter, but the teeth have a helix angle of 45 to 60 degrees. The step helix produces a shearing action that results in smooth vibration-free cuts. They are available for arbor mounting or with an integral shank with or without a pilot. This type of helical cutter is particularly useful for milling elongated slots and for light cuts on soft metal. Another type of cutter or cutting tools in milling machine, the metal slitting saw milling cutter. The metal slitting saw milling cutter is essential, a very thin plain milling cutter. It is ground slightly thinner toward the center to provide a side clearance. These cutters are used for cut-off operations and for milling deep, narrow slots and are made in with from 1/32 to 3/16 of an inch. We also have side milling cutters. Side milling cutters are essentially plain milling cutters with the addition of teeth on one or both sides. A plain side milling cutters has teeth on both sides and on the periphery. When teeth are added to one side only, the cutter is called a half-side milling cutter and is identified as being either a right-hand or left-hand cutter. Side milling cutters are generally used for slotting and straddle milling. Next cutting tool on milling machines are end milling cutters. The end milling cutters, also called an end mill, has teeth on the end as well as the periphery. The smaller end milling cutters have shanks for chuck mounting or direct spindle mounting. End milling cutters may have straight or spiral flutes. Spiral flute end milling cutters are classified as left-hand or right-hand cutters depending on the direction of rotation of the flutes. If they are small cutters, they may have either a straight or tapered shanks. So this end mill cutters in the figure, this is an example of a straight shank end mill cutters. Next is T-slot milling cutter. The T-slot milling cutters is used to machine T-slot grooves in work tables, fixtures, and other holding device. So the sole purpose of this T-slot milling cutter is to cut a T-slot grooves. Next is the Woodruff Keyslot milling cutters. The angle milling cutter has peripheral teeth which are neither parallel nor perpendicular to the cutter axis. Common operation performed with angle cutters are cutting V, notches, and serrations. These cutters may be single angle milling cutters or double angle milling cutters. So the left side of this, the left part of this figure is the single angle milling cutters, and then on the right side, this is an example of double angle milling cutters. This single angle cutter contains side cutting teeth on the flat side of the cutter, while the angle of the cutter edge is usually 30 degrees, 45 degrees, or 60 degrees, both right and left. Double angle cutters have included angles of 45, 60, and 90 degrees. We also have gear hub. The gear hub is a form tooth milling cutter with helical teeth arranged like the thread on a screw. These teeth are fluted to produce the required cutting edge. Hubs are generally used for such work as finishing spar gears, spiral gears or helical gears, and worm gears. They may also be used to cut ratchets and spline shafts. Next cutting tools, we have concave and convex milling cutters. Concave, this is an example of concave milling cutters. These cutters are form tooth cutters shaped to produce concave. If convex, to produce convex cut. It contours of 1/2 circle or less The size of the cutter is specified by the diameter of the circular form the cutter produce. This is concave and convex milling cutters. For milling machine accessories are necessary in milling machine. As with all the different machine tools and machining operations, the accessories that are used along with the machine play an important role in machine tool operation. There are many milling machine accessories and attachment needed for different operations, and I will discuss some of those. The first attachment or accessories used in a milling machine operation are the vices. Vices are similar to the machine table vise, is used for milling straight workplaces and is bolted to the milling machine table either at right angles or parallel to the machine arbor. This machine vise or a mechanical device designed to hold workpieces still during machine operation. The vise can securely fasten castings, forgings, and rough surfaced workplaces. The jaw can be positioned in any notch on the two bars to accommodate different shapes and sizes. This is used for clamping the workpiece. We also have adjustable angle plate. The angle plate can be adjusted to any angle so that bevels and tapers can be cut without using a special milling cutter or an adjustable cutter head. So dito, yung plate na lang yung ina-adjust. So this adjustable angle plate holding device similar to the universal vise in operation. Workpieces are mounted to the angle plate with T-bolts and clamps in the same manner used to fasten workpieces to the work table of the milling machine. Okay. Next is the indexing fixture. So the index fixture consists of an index head. This is the index head, and also called dividing head, and footstock. This is the footstock, which is similar to the tailstock of a lathe machine. The index head and footstock attached to the work table of the milling machine by T-slot bolts. An index plate containing graduation is used to control the rotation of the index head spindle. This is the graduated scale. The plate is fixed to the index head, and an indexing crank connected to the index head spindle by a worm gear and shaft. Workpieces are held between centers by the index head spindle and the footstock. Workpieces may also be held in a chuck mounted to the index head spindle or may be fitted directly into the taper spindle recess of some indexing fixture. There are many variations of the indexing fixture. Universal index head is the name applied to the index head designed to permit power drive of the spindle so that helix may be cut on the milling machine. Gear cutting attachment is another name applied to the indexing fixture. So in this case, one that is primarily intended for cutting gears on the milling machine. So for cutting the every tooth of a gear, ito yung ginagamit for perfectly dividing those teeth on its whole periphery. So the usual formula for this indexing head is 40 over n, where this formula is equivalent to the number of turns. So number of turns is equivalent to 40 over n. If you desire to cut a gear with let's say 40 teeth, so the number of turns will be 40 divided by 40, so it will be equivalent to 1. So to cut every teeth, you have to rotate this crank 1 turn for every cut, so that the 40 teeth will be cut and will be divided equally to its periphery. Okay. The next milling machine attachment is the rotary table or circular milling attachment. This attachment consists of a circular work table containing T-slot for mounting workplaces. The circular table revolves on a base attached to the milling machine work table. The attachment can be either hand or power driven, being connected to the table drive shaft if power driven. It may be used for milling circles, angular indexing, arcs, segments, circular slots, grooves, and radii, as well as for slotting internal and external gears. The table of the attachment is divided in degrees. So for the indexing fixture, the angle is divided into number of turns, while in the rotary table or circular milling attachment, the angle is divided in degrees. So in this part, we have also graduated scale, so that you can set perfectly the desired angle. Okay? Questions? So you may comment down your queries about milling machine cutting tools and accessories. And for my students, you may send your queries in our official group chat. Thank you for your attention and thank you for watching.